We are Gold Ivy, a health company dedicated to simplifying health and wellness. Tune in as we search to find the deep, real, and raw truth. We're here to talk big, no room for small talk. It is our mission to inspire, seek growth, simplify the action steps, and build confidence.
You decide what works for your daily life and how to transform our lessons into your gold. Are you ready to step into your power? Now is the time. Join us on the fearless pursuit of self-discovery and growth.
This is Ivy Unleashed,
a Gold Ivy production. Something that has made a world of difference for us and many people we know over this past year has been getting our groceries delivered right to our door. The ability to get local, fresh groceries without us having to step foot into a grocery store has been something we are so grateful for. Convenience, price, and quality are extremely important to us, and that's why we love and support Instacart. Instacart can deliver to your front door in as little as 1 hour. You can shop multiple stores, see deals in your area to help you save money, and every item is hand-selected by shoppers based on your preferences. To start your 14-day free trial and to get free delivery on your first order over $35, follow the link in the show notes to let Instacart know that we sent you and to help support the show. Instacart, never step foot in a grocery store ever again.
You are going to be so happy you're tuning in today. If you could use some high energy, empowering vibes, and a ton of laughter, this is the episode for you. We had the privilege to chat with Domiana Ndour, the author of Help, My Husband is Hardly Home, 8 Steps to Feel Supported While Raising Your Family, and Help, I Need a Break from Motherhood, the Stay-at-Home Mom's Guide to a Balanced Life.
Domiana is a powerhouse, as well as a retired professional basketball player, turned 2-time best-selling author, somatic healer, coach, international speaker, certified yoga instructor, baby-wearing educator, wife, and mom, who is equipping busy moms and kids with the tools to self-heal, regulate emotions, break the cycle, and manifest the life they love.
And now to this week's episode of the Ivy Unleashed podcast. Hey everyone, welcome back to Ivy Unleashed. Have you ever found yourself saying, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, I'm exhausted, or help, I need a break from motherhood? If you're like us and answered yes, you are not going to want to miss a minute of the conversation we're about to have with the one, the only, Domiana Ndour.
Welcome to Ivy Unleashed.
Thank you for having me. I love it here.
Good. We feel honored to have your time because you are due with a baby number 3 any day here. You have 2 littles. Your husband's overseas. You've written 2 books. So first of all, how are you doing and how do you do all of this?
I appreciate that for asking how I'm doing. Like, I really do appreciate that. And today, honestly, I am phenomenal. Like, I'm not going to lie. It's been a really great day. I feel really good despite having a month left before I pop. Yeah, it's been great. I got energy. I'm moving. My kids are fun today. It's been like really smooth of a day. So, and how do I do it all? Well, you're gonna have to read the book. No, I hate that answer. I'll share some secrets with you guys today on how to do it all.
So Brooke and I feel like we know you really well because we read your book. It's incredible and we want to share it with our audience. It's called Help, I Need a Break from Motherhood, the Stay-at-Home Mom's Guide to a Balanced Life. And you talk a little bit about your story in this, and there are so many tips and valuable lessons, whether you're a mom or not. But we would love for you to kind of share your story, prior to kids and how you got here where you're an author and, share a little bit about this journey.
So I am a retired professional basketball player. That is kind of where I started in the sports kind of coaching world. I was training in the off season in addition to playing professionally. And as my career, I knew there was something out there that was just different for me, right? I was at the peak of my career. I only had played for a few seasons. I wasn't old and washed up yet. Like there was life in me, but I just knew it was just time to pivot. I wasn't my heart wasn't in it anymore. And as I approached my last season, I was in Spain. I fell in love with yoga as a way to just really just train differently. So I wasn't pounding on my body so much. My body hurt. Honestly, it did. And then I had an injury. It wasn't career ending. I had to get surgery on my ankle, tore a bunch of ligaments, but it wasn't career ending. But I took that as well, okay, this is my sign that I was waiting for, and my reason to, proof just to stop, even though I knew it already. I didn't need any more proof, but my intuition was speaking to me. So by that point, when I stopped playing, I ended up going into yoga full time on this whole spiritual journey. It started off very superficial. I did yoga to I read that you can get abs from doing breathing stuff. Didn't have abs from it then, but now as a mom, I do, which is insane. And just as a way to just switch up my workout routine. It just transcended into this major spiritual awakening and just mindful movement and just a different way of life and just a way different, just to be different. And then from there, I became a mother, got married, became a mother, and my whole life flipped upside down, right? Life as I knew it. I already was having trouble with my identity after my sports career ended. And then I got into this bigger identity crisis once I became a mother. It was really hard for me to even though I love devoting myself, and serving other people, it was just really hard to do that. From going from someone who, you're in the public eye and you have you have fans cheering for you and all this stuff. And then to go to motherhood, it's so isolating and lonely. And so fell into this funk, this dark place, pulled myself out because I realized I had the tools, right? With my athlete mentality, with my yoga practices and different mindset stuff that I had learned throughout my just education, my college degrees and master's degrees and all that stuff. I really took this all and morphed it together from my experiences, and I pulled myself up out of it. And then from there, I realized, talking to other women, that they experienced the same thing too, that they felt alone, they felt isolated, they felt like they needed a break. They're touched out, they were just wanting to scream, they're about to lose their mind sometimes. So from there, I wrote my first book, which is Help, My Husband's Hardly Home. My husband's a professional basketball player, so he's never home. Sometimes we live under the same roof. Sometimes we are under separate roofs, but we find a way to make it work. And just using different systems and tools to just make your life easier, to alleviate the weight of motherhood, right? To alleviate the stress and just to help your kids too. Because when you are not in a good place and triggered and just touched out and needing a break, your kids feel that too. And so as a result, your kids are going to behave differently, which is not the way that they normally would behave. So that's kind of a longer version of my story, but we've written a couple best-selling books and got into this somatic healer coaching realm of things too, because like I said, I didn't start off wanting to be a coach and the somatic healer. It just kind of came to me after all of these things unfolded. And I realized that I could help more women and help more people and help more kids and more families and relationships just become better.
I love it. And I love so much about, when I was reading your book, thinking about, what is this going to be like? I'm not a stay-at-home mom right now. What am I going to get out of this book? And I think the most powerful message I took from it is that you get to choose, you say you get to choose your path. You don't have to be this overwhelmed version of yourself that's tired and resentful. You can pick the type of life you want to lead. You can choose the type of mom you want to be, or if you're not a mom or dad, that you can choose the life you want to lead and not let everything overwhelm you. And so I would love for you to speak on that. When you talk about you get to choose, just to elaborate, because the way you write is so beautiful. I don't want to botch it at all.
Thank you. This is actually one of my favorite things to talk about because people have certain ways of looking at things. and it's either black or white. It's yes or no. It's this or that, right? But I want to just expand on this concept, expand you to possibility. So you have the power to choose. I'm sure people could roll their eyes, right? Oh, my circumstances won't let me do X, Y, and Z or whatever it is too, right? Like, and I do believe that people have privilege and advantage and things like that too. But in those situations, in those circumstances, you have the power to choose how you show up. You have the power to choose your response to things, right? You don't have to react when you're triggered. You don't have to react to all these things. You can respond. And there's power in the response. One of the things I love to say and teach on, and I teach my clients in my healing community and in the one-on-one private coaching containers too. This is like the thing that is a mandatory concept that everybody that comes through and comes in touch with me has to learn. And it's this concept of your response ability. So like your response ability is your responsibility. So your ability to respond is your responsibility. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And I say that like, because I know it makes sense. You have a responsibility to respond a certain way. You do. And you have the power to choose how you respond. So like instead of being this bogged down, burdened, feeling like you're hopeless and you have no choice type of thing, you can shift that perspective and you can make it so that it's an empowering thing, right? It could be this thing where you can choose and just opening up your mind to possibility and to perspective that things can be different if I choose differently. That's one piece of it. Another piece of it too is there's this whole like chain of command on like your mind and how like a mindset hack is what I call it too. So you have circumstances, right? Those circumstances, whenever you think of something in your life that happened, you get all these thoughts that run rampant in your mind. So that circumstance produces a thought. From there, that thought produces a feeling. So you're going to feel a certain type of way whenever you think certain things. From there, that feeling produces an action. From there, that action produces a result. So it's like this whole chain that happens, all from a circumstance, but it all stems from your thought. So if you can change your thought and pick a new thought, you can disrupt that whole chain of command. And I go into depth and all this stuff, but that's the abridged version. And there's a third part.
So keep going.
You have the power. You have the power to choose, and you can always make your empowered choice because your responsibility is your responsibility. That's the first part. Then the next part is choosing a new thought. And then the third part of that is that sometimes when you do choose a new thought, you can't really get behind it, right? You don't really believe that thought. Think about when you know rationally something to be true, but you don't feel like it's true, right? You're like, I know that I should be doing X, Y, and Z, but I don't feel like whatever, X, Y, Z, you know? And there's a disconnect between your body and your mind. That's where somatics comes into play. That's where the juice, this is my favorite part, is the somatic aspect of it, because you're going to use neuroscience and you're going to use, you know, if you want to get spiritual, you could do that too, but like it's all backed by science. But you get to use neuroscience to create new neural pathways, to create that bridge and connect your body and your mind so that your body's actually on board with that new mindset, that new thought that you choose. Because trauma is stored in your body. So that response is stored in your body. And if you want to change that response, yes, you can do all the mindset shifting, mind hacking and things like that. But ultimately, if you want to change, you got to get your body on board. So it's like a 3 kind of fold in that very simple question that you asked.
What I love is how you break all of these giant concepts and juicy concepts down in the book. And not only do you talk about how your life doesn't have to be exhausting and here's how you can choose and your response able, and that's your power, but here are some ways you can do it, right? Like somatic and physical and spiritual. And you talk a lot about that somatic piece, the breath work piece. And you are trained in EFT and pranayama, you always talk about, and so much good stuff in the book. And so I would love to hear more about these somatic practices and kind of diving into the neuroscience and the juiciness of it.
Yeah. Okay. So first and foremost, my first love is breath work. Because like I said, I really thought that I could get some abs when I was playing. It's just wild to me that I never had abs. It just blows me that I never had abs. I also like the way that I was eating and stuff too. But it's crazy what your body's capable of doing when you choose to breathe consciously and correctly. It's wild, the changes and transformation that you physically will see, as well as emotionally, as well as spiritually, like all of these changes, and psychologically, physiologically, all of the changes. Because whenever you are conscious breathing, whenever you're practicing pranayama or breath work, whatever you want to call it, ultimately you are healing your body on a cellular level. You are. So pranayama is a Sanskrit word, and it means your life force. So you literally have this life force that lives within you. Whenever you're conscious breathing, you're activating that life force. Whenever you choose to consciously breathe and control your breath, that's your anchor. You are able to control your inner world, which is a reflection of your outer world. So if you're able to control your inner world, you can control your outer realities. You can open yourself up to new realities. And it is so powerful. So breath work. And it's super easy, practical ways. We can talk about that too, and you can read them in the book. But also, I'm in the car right now, right? My office for the day. When I'm driving with both of my kids in the back, singing their hearts out, or talking about who knows what, you get pretty good at filtering the stuff that needs your attention, right? So you can kind of block out the outer distractions or chaos. If you don't have kids, block out the outer world. And while you're driving at that red light, see how little of breaths you take at the red light. Count how many. The purpose of breath work is slow your breath down, because you're going to slow and soothe your nervous system and calm it down. So if you're at a red light and the red light is, let's say, a minute, for example, maybe you take 5 breaths at the red light. And just count, play a game.
I'm taking deep breaths as you're talking.
I know,
right
me
now.
too. I feel so cold.
Yeah,
it's so
just
funny.
play a game.
We hold it. We tense up and we hold our breath, and it does feel so good to release it. It's why are we holding that? Why are we tensing up all the time? It feels so good to be relaxed.
For sure. And notice where you're breathing into your body. What parts of your body are you breathing into? Is it your chest? Is it shallow breaths in your chest? Or is it coming from your belly and your diaphragm? And then coming up to your chest. And then on the exhale, this is the juicy part. This is how we get abs, people.
I'm listening.
You squeeze everything into the midline and squeeze your belly button back towards the spine. Squeezing that. And then you can even hold your exhale for a bit. And I say a bit, just briefly for a hot second. You inhale fully through the diaphragm, up through the chest. Let it rise. And as you exhale, let the chest collapse. Ribcage draws closer together. And then bring that belly button back towards the spine and squeeze. You're going to fire up those transverse abdominal muscles. And even lift up the pelvic floor a little bit. Give it a little squeeze up in the elevator.
Little kegels.
Yeah.
I only say that because she wrote it in the book.
Yes. Get them. But on that exhale is really the key to you're really squeezing too. So you're expelling toxins from your body, right? You're detoxifying, you're purging, you're getting rid of, and creating more space for whatever you want to call in, whatever you want to inhale, whatever you want to breathe in. So you can get all manifestation-y on, I can go that way on you. I can go scientific. It just doesn't matter, but it's fact.
Breathe in the good shit, breathe out the bad shit, breathe out the bullshit.
Yes.
What is it?
Yes, something like that. Yes.
Or it could be breathe in peace, breathe out stress.
Whatever lights you up, honestly.
Yeah, make it your own. But that is my first and favorite. I don't know if favorite's the right word, but it's my first somatic love that I really discovered. And I didn't even realize it was a somatic healing tool at the time when I was using it. I just, like I said, was just trying to get some abs.
Yeah. And I think that's a big thing that, we want to talk about stressors and burnout, thinking about so many things on your plate, so many directions you get pulled, and with work and with if you have kids or personal life, travel, all of the things that are on our mind. It's nice that you can always fall back on something that's free. And as a mother, you can do it with your kids. Like, you don't have to go hide somewhere and do this. Like, everybody can benefit from it.
And you could do this anywhere, anytime. Like you said, it doesn't matter where you are. And it's a very inconspicuous way to self-soothe. No one will ever know. No one will ever know that you are taking time for yourself, prioritizing yourself, that you are calming yourself down. No one will know because you're just breathing. Mm-hmm. And it is a really great point too that your kids can get involved with this. All the tools and things that I teach and that I share in the book, your kids, include them in them. Like, it's a powerful thing to watch. Another really good somatic method that I love is EFT Tapping, stands for Emotional Freedom Techniques. It's amazing to help you get in touch with your emotions, to cultivate emotional resilience and intelligence, because that's something that I know I lacked for a long time, pretty much like most of my life, honestly. I knew I was a very emotional person, but to identify these things and to move through them and to actually deal with them instead of just stuffing them down, I didn't really do a great job at that. And so when I found EFT tapping, it literally changed my life. And now my girls, who are 2 and 3, I'll catch them when I see them, they might let out a little scream or something like that, or a big scream, right? So they'll go, ah, and then someone will just start tapping, just on the side of her hand. Or at bedtime, she'll ask me, my oldest, who's 3, she'll be like, can we tap? And she'll just ask me these questions. I'm like, oh yeah, girl, come on, let's go. What do you want to talk about? Come on. And so we'll just start tapping and incorporating these things into our daily lives. Or shaking. My 2-year-old is all about it. She's like, I'm gonna shake my booty. And she'll just start shaking, and we just have a big shaking party in the living room, right? All of these different things that you could do around your kids, with kids in the mix, without them, when you're driving, when you're walking, just a different way of bringing mindfulness to your life, honestly, is what it's all about.
Yes. And the interesting part is, it's mindfulness, but we talked with a psychologist a couple weeks ago about bodyfulness, and that's what you're talking about. Breathing involves your body, tapping involves your body. So can you just kind of touch on what is that, and how does tapping help move your emotions or trauma through your body?
Yeah. It's a really great question, because people probably are still very confused as to what tapping is and how it all works. I like to preface with tapping is better experience than it is explained, but I'm going to explain it and break it down pretty simple. So you are basically combining talk therapy, so CBT, the cognitive behavioral therapy, talk therapy with acupressure points, and you're just going to touch on different meridian channels of your body while you're speaking or repeating after the practitioner, because there's a different sequence and there's a rhyme and a reason to what you're saying and when and how and why. But the reason why it works and how it all works is because when you are triggered, you are in fight or flight mode. When you're in fight or flight mode, your body's secreting cortisol and other stress-inducing hormones all throughout your body. So that automatically activates this part of your brain, the sympathetic part of your brain, so that you are in fight or flight mode. You don't have access to the other part of your brain where it is a rest and repose, which is the parasympathetic nervous system. So when you are stressed, one part of your brain cuts off and you are just unable to see anything else except for the stress, the triggers, and you just kind of spiral into it, right? That's why you can't think your way out of things when you are stressed and triggered. That's why the first point that I made about doing all the mindset shifting, it does work, yes. And also, here's a little caveat. When you're stressed, you can't think your way out of something. That's why your body and your mind don't align. That's when you think something and you don't feel it. Or you feel something and you think differently from it. And so when you're tapping, you're soothing your nervous system, which allows your body to come back down to equilibrium, to come back down to homeostasis and activate that parasympathetic side of the nervous system, to activate that rest and repose, that retreat, that just calm part of your brain so it can activate and turn back on and shut off that fight or flight side. So you will be able to like, oh yeah, I can relax. Oh, I can actually see things differently. Maybe I can do X, Y, and Z, right? Like instead of just being like, think about when you're hot, right? When you get really mad, you're venting to someone and they say something that's positive to you. That's triggering too, right? You're like, ugh, don't want to hear that right now because you just can't receive it. You're unable to receive it because that part of your brain is shut off. You only have access to the stress, fight, or flight. You are literally cut off to all possibilities. So simple as tapping here is going to open you up to the possibilities and activate that other part of your brain so that you can actually receive something else. You can actually relax and not be so stressed out anymore. So by getting your nervous system regulated and calm, you're able to get your body on board. And that's why it's so important. Somatic healing is so important.
Yes. And I love that you're giving tools to use in the moment. Because I think a lot of the time, I mean, if anyone's like me, I'm looking at all your amazing journal prompts in the book. And I'm like, these are awesome for when I am calm and relaxed and I want to dive in. I want to write a candle. But what about when I don't feel well or I need to get my booty out of bed? And I love the book because, yes, it's geared towards motherhood, but it's also about embodying who you were meant to be and your power and all these things that whether you're a mom or you're not, you're a woman and that's damn powerful. And you talk about these strategies like the tapping. You have specific YouTube videos that people can go to with different types of breath work. And there's something for everyone, whether you're a mother or not. And I want to hit that home. You also talk about triggers and you've mentioned it a couple times. And I would love to hear, what is it about triggers and how do we know where they come from, and kind of just give us your perspective on triggers and really getting to figure them out.
Triggers, boy. Whoo. It's something that when you get triggered so often and so just constantly being triggered, you don't realize that you're triggered. It's one of those things, right? When you're running on autopilot and you don't realize that you're running on autopilot. You don't realize you're going through the motions, but really you are. And then that becomes your norm. And that's why a lot of people who are burnt out and moms who are burnt out don't really realize that they're burnt out because it just becomes the baseline for everything. And so with triggers though, it's an emotional response. Like it's a strong emotional response. And so think about it, if you're constantly being triggered, of course you're tired, right? Like if I got to constantly be up and down like this because I keep getting triggered, I'm cool, and then I keep getting pulled back down, I'm cool, keep getting pulled back down, it's exhausting because it's an emotional response every single time. And so if you're able to, you're going to be triggered. Like stuff is always going to trigger you. It's just a matter of like how deep is that emotional response going to be, or like how strong is that emotional response going to be, and how often does it happen? You know, you can shorten up or lengthen the duration of the trigger by using somatic. You can have these triggered moments happen less frequently because of somatic healing. You can have emotional responses that don't have to plummet you all the way down and bring you down, and it takes so much like effort and force to climb back up to here. With the somatic healing, you can just kind of be here. You ride this nice, smooth wave, right? With grace and with ease. And I'm all about grace and ease. Versus this choppy thing over here where it's like, oh, here we go again, you know? So triggers, how do you identify them? You really have to, one way, look at your complaints, plain and simple. Look at what you're complaining about and write that down. And then go back through. It's like, oh, okay, this is an unmet need. Okay, I'm yelling a lot. Over what, though? Oh, because there's mess. Okay, is this because I don't have control in another area of my life? Is this because we literally have just accumulated too much stuff and I just can't think and breathe? We need to purge. Like, what is it? So identifying your trigger by looking at your complaints and then giving yourself permission to take action, to receive something, right, to fulfill your needs is another key part of it.
I love in the book, too, how you talk about how if you notice the trigger, it's just a sign that there's something in you that needs more healing. And Yeah, I think if you think about it that way of, what is this trying to teach me or what is this trying to tell me? What is it that I'm missing here? And that's why your journal prompts are so powerful because it's kind of like walking through this journey in this book of like the first part is just getting to know yourself. Like what makes you you? What are you passionate about? What do you enjoy doing? And I feel like it had nothing to do with motherhood. It had everything to do with like, who are you and what do you like? And then let's get into, okay, in your life, like what does stress you out and what do you feel like your triggers are and why does it bother you? And kind of navigating that. It's almost like seeing the good in yourself and your power and your strengths before you tackle them. And so I would just love for you to talk about that process of how you go from, okay, I know who I am. I know what I like. I know what I'm good at. I know, what my passions are into your system and how you start to change your environment when you feel the burnout, you have the stressors, and you want to start making some shifts.
So I love that you recognize that too. My little sneaky way of my conscious mom method,
Yes.
to get you there, right? Like I'm really bridging the gap from where you are, overwhelmed and burnt out, and getting you to, like overjoyed in this fun, fulfilling life that you get to live with ease. I'm really glad that you noticed that because that was like, that's the purpose. But if I would jump right into something else, like it just wouldn't be received. So I have to get it in a way that first we got to just rediscover ourselves, right? Because you're more than a mother. You're more than your career, right? You are more than what you identify with, which I had to learn that the hard way. It was very hard. I am more than a professional athlete, even though it has been my identity since I was high school, throughout graduating college and grad school and playing professionally. Like it's just, I was more than that, but I placed so much identity in that and worth in that and how well I performed that everything unraveled when I didn't have that anymore. So getting to know yourself is huge. It really is. Identifying those triggers is huge because it's just information. It is feedback. And then from there, you move through this beautiful laid out process. It's literally a playbook. It is a guide for you, a roadmap to follow to fulfillment. And I love that you also have touched on this a couple of times, but it's more than a book, right? Because there's all these journal prompts in there. There's all these resources. It's a lot of value packed into these pages. So I definitely poured my heart into this.
I felt like I got to know you and I felt held as I went through what are some things I could be better at. I felt like you gave me the confidence to then address my weaknesses. And so it was very well written and I can't recommend it enough for people to jump in and read it too.
Thank you. And that's the thing that I love doing, right? Whenever you work with me, whether you're a one-on-one client or whether you're in the healing community, I am not coddling you, right? I am not one there to reassure you and externally validate you and do all these things. No, I am giving you the tools that are going to empower you to empower yourself, right? I am going to make you see the goodness in you. See all the power, all the wisdom, all the beauty, all the things that are within you. Because whatever you see in me is in you. Whatever you see in me, it's in there for you too. And I'm going to extract that. And that is what a good coach does. That's what a great coach does. They're able to pull that out of you. And I've been doing that for a very long time with basketball, and it just translated into this health space and into somatic healing space. But that's really what I love doing, is just being that mirror. This is me holding up a mirror.
Yeah.
Look in the mirror, please.
Can you kind of explain more what you mean on that what you see in me is what's in you?
So we are all one. I'm going to go spiritual. I am going to take this on the spiritual road. I am. We are all one. So whenever you meet somebody, it's a reflection of you. Whatever you see in them is a reflection of you, right? So if someone really bothers you, you got to look at yourself. You do. You do. Why does this person bother me so much? Is it something that they're doing that I don't like about myself? Oftentimes is what it is. Or something that I've worked really hard to combat and to heal, but you're being judgmental towards them for it still. Because we're all the same. We really are. We are all one. And so whatever you see in someone else, you see it in you too.
I love that. That reminds me of that validation piece that you talk so much about in your book, how when you are looking for compliments, it doesn't matter if you don't believe it and that you have to give it to yourself. Yes. So let's dive into that piece.
Yes. All right. Homework for the listeners right now. Give yourself a compliment. Go look in the mirror. If you don't have a mirror, pull out your phone, do the front camera, and give yourself a compliment. Bonus if it's a compliment in front of the mirror and you're naked, because I'm all about being comfortable in your skin. But really, see how easy and how hard it is to give yourself a compliment. And also notice how you receive compliments. If you're always like, ooh, like kind of bypass, downplay it a little bit, like, oh, I love your hair. It's like, oh, I haven't washed it in 3 days. Like, what are you doing? Just say thank you, you know? Like,
why is it so hard for us to receive it?
Right. Or why do we have to give one back and reciprocate? Why? Why do we have to? Oh, thanks. I love your shoe. Like, I will proudly take a compliment. And I was not always this way. I was not. But if someone says they like something or whatever, thank you.
How'd you get to this space where you could accept it?
A lot of work around being my own source, my own sustainable source of validation. Learning to love myself to the core, despite my imperfections, despite the mistakes that I've made, despite the things that I might not like about myself, learning to accept and love them. That way, I don't have to, like I said, rely on someone else's perception of me. Another thing, I worked on people pleasing so much and codependency, like those tendencies, which I'm sure resonate with a lot of women in general, just because it does, let's be real. Breaking those ties and those bonds to codependency and to people pleasing, you realize like that other people's opinions and perceptions of you really do not matter at the end of the day. And to give someone that power, that's taking away from you and your power. Why would you give someone your power? Why would you give someone that much power over you to dictate and decide whether today's a joyous day or whether right now is a joyous moment for you or not?
How did you know when you were people pleasing? Like, what was your cue? Like, oh, I'm definitely doing this, or I'm definitely codependent. Like, how did you identify those things?
If I had really, really great news that I was very excited about and I shared it with someone, and then if they didn't react the way that I wanted them to react, I was like super excited and like, oh my gosh. And like, cause I'm a very much like that's how I celebrate the big, small, little, big wins and all that stuff. Like I'm up there. And if someone wasn't like that for me, then I would just like get deflated and kind of come down to their level. I'm also an empath too. So I just soak up everyone else's emotions and vibrations too. Another thing when I knew that I had to make some shifts and changes with like codependency and stuff like that was when, so my husband, whenever he'd have a game, if it was like a good game for him or if the team lost or if he didn't play that well and like he came home from the road or whatever and he was like in a mood, then like, and I would be all bubbly and stuff like before he comes home, and then like he'd come home and I'd be like the life got sucked out of me, you know? That was a huge indicator that I'm like, okay, girl, something's got to change because you cannot keep living your life on this roller coaster depending on who you're around and what people think of you and what people are bringing to you and their reactions. Like, you can't.
Is that energy contagious? Like, because in my mind, I'm like, energy is contagious and I'm an extrovert. I get energy from being around other people. That's what I've been telling myself. So I see myself in you. You're a great mirror right now. Help me.
There's a mirror
Domiana,
again.
help me.
Yeah, so energy is definitely, it's contagious. You can emit vibrations and frequencies and energy, and you can also receive and soak them up too. The power that you have, the superpower that you have, and that you can choose to view it as a superpower is that you can filter through what energy you want to take in and what energy you want to leave. And also the stronger of your vibration, right? The stronger wave you emit around you, right? Your aura, your little Saturn rings, whatever you want to call them, whatever you're putting out there, the strength in which you're putting it out there, that is gonna like shield you also too. You know what I'm saying? So that way people come with that negative stuff or that lower vibrating stuff and you're all the way up here, like it's not gonna penetrate you. It's not gonna phase you anymore because you know that what you're putting out there, like you know that you're secure in yourself, you're validating yourself, you're confident in yourself, you're loving yourself, all these things, that is that higher vibrating frequency. That right there is going to not only protect you from that lower vibrating stuff, but it's also going to attract more of that higher energy, higher vibrating things too. So it is a practice. It is. It doesn't happen overnight. Like I've been doing this stuff, I swear, for like at least 5 years, like a minimum, I'd say. Honestly, my whole life, to be honest. But like, it's a practice.
Mm-hmm.
And when you've been a certain way for 20 something, 30 something years, it's not going to happen overnight either. The shifts and changes are going to happen overnight. So reminding yourself of that.
For anybody that's listening, if you do want to watch the YouTube video of Domiana, her energy is, I can feel it. Like you are not only wearing yellow and beautiful and glowing because you're pregnant, but
Thank you.
I'm sure you'd be glowing even if you weren't pregnant.
When Brooke and I met you, a few weeks ago, we were captivated by your energy. We can feel it. It's like what you're saying is true. Like you are literally, I feel like a beam of light into my face right now.
Oh.
And so what you're living
Thank
out what
you.
you're saying. I think it's one thing to know the science. It's one thing to like try to tap on your hand or tap on your head, but watching a YouTube video of you doing it and hearing what you're saying, and you can see your energy change. It's really cool to not only hear it, but to feel your energy. And I hope everybody, and I'm sure everybody can feel your energy too. I just wanted everybody to know that they could also see you if they wanted to.
I appreciate that. It is one thing to talk about it, but it's another thing to be about it. That embodiment piece, that's also why this book is a huge game changer, because it helps you embody these things. It helps you actually do these things and take action. So
yeah.
And thank you for the compliment. I receive it.
Yes. And you talk about embodiment and how you say we don't become, we already are. And it's about embodying it. And so let's touch on that. What does embodiment mean to you?
Yes. Embodiment means you are. Like you are doing those things that you talk about. You are not only do you know, okay, I should be doing my breath work. I should be getting up at this time. I should be doing this. I can be doing this. All these changes to make changes in your life. You know the steps. You have the game plan in front of you. But embodiment is actually taking action, doing something about it, and making sure that your words and your actions are in alignment. So what you're saying is in alignment with what you're doing. That is embodiment for real.
For those people that know they're stressed out, but they're like, am I burned out? Am I at that point where I need this book? Yeah. How do you actually identify I'm burned out?
Yeah, that's like a solid question. And a lot of people, like I mentioned before, don't know that they're burned out. They don't know that they're triggered. They don't know because you're so used to running a certain way and you're so used to being on autopilot, so that it's hard to even decipher, like, am I burnt out, or is this just this is just how life is, you know? So I'm going to ask a couple of questions, and if you answer yes to any of them, you probably are burnt out. So here we go. Or put down a finger if you wake up exhausted before the day even starts. All right. That was a big indicator for me. Some days it's hard to like get out of the bed to get going. Another indicator that you're burnt out could definitely be that you are overwhelmed and like easily overwhelmed. Another one, that you're running on autopilot, right? It's the same kind of mundane thing that happens every single day. There's no variance and there's nothing to look forward to. It's just kind of, it is what it is. Burnt out, you're exhausted, you're overwhelmed. Pretty much like that is like those are solid indicators that you are probably burnt out.
Love that. I think it's good to just have examples of what might be going on in your head, or that, wow, I might be completely unaware of how burnt out I am. Like, am I a joy to be around?
That too. Like, am I snapping on people constantly?
Or even like, am I enjoying life?
Yeah.
Is it a chore? That's kind of what I'm hearing. And I think, again, that speaks to this book isn't just for if you're a mom. Like, I have definitely been in places with my health or thinking about post-college and getting into your career. Like, you can definitely feel these ways. And we talk a lot about self-care and filling your cup up so that you don't get burnt out. And Domiana, you talk about loving on yourself and mothering yourself versus calling it self-care. Yeah. So let's touch on that.
Yes. First and foremost, to combat burnout, maintenance is key. You got to reset the system, and then maintenance is key. But yes, prioritizing practices, my jam. So self-care is such a buzzword. It's like an oversaturated word too in the motherhood community, and just I think in this health and wellness space, like self-care. And for me, it's more than manis and massages. It really is. It is a way of life, prioritizing practices. It's a way, again, of being, of embodying. These prioritizing practices are how you can embody this life that you want to live, embody and be this person who you are, like who you're capable of being, right? Like who you are. And there's just so many different types and there's different categories, and depending on where you are in your life and what season you're in, it's going to look different. Sometimes it might be the bare minimum, basic, essential things like hygiene. Like if you're a new mom with a newborn baby, it could be more something like, making sure that I'm showering and getting dressed every single day, versus something else that could be like if you're in a different part of your life where, your kids are a little bit more self-sufficient, or you have work slowing down for you, so you can just focus more on the things that are more juicy and pleasurable and really bring like that joy into your life. But either way, these prioritizing practices, they are going to be nourishing and fulfilling. That is the key. Because like I said, different seasons, that shower is going to hit different depending on what season of your life that you're in, right? Like if you have a newborn baby, that shower is juicy, it is pleasurable, like that's the money right there. Versus where I'm at now in my life with the 2 and 3 year old, the shower it's an automatic, like it's a non-negotiable, That's I don't consider that my prioritizing practices so much now. But I did maybe 2 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago. So it just depends on what season that you're in. And I give so many different options in things that you can choose from in the book.
Yeah. What's that for you right now with, being this pregnant with 2 littles? Like, what are you trying to prioritize?
I am prioritizing movement. And it's movement like I will, I don't know if I want to admit this. So I put my girls down for bed. It was like 7:30. Girls went down at 7. I was just chilling. And I put on a YouTube tutorial for some bachata dancing. Like I love to dance. I also, fun fact, was a dancer until I was 15. So like I was a freshman on the freshman Palms team, dancing at halftime for basketball games, and then I switched to basketball. But so dance is like, I love dancing. Yeah.
Duality.
I love dancing. Right? And baby, it's not or. We could be and up in here. So put the girls down at 7. I was chilling. It was like 7:30, like random. I got my computer out, hooked it up to the TV. Like I had this bachata tutorial on. I am learning this combination. I pull out some heels in my closet. I'm in my bathroom, like, because I could see the TV, like, through there, whatever. I'm in this big mirror, and I'm over here dancing, clunking away, tripping, falling. It's awful. I recorded myself. Like, that for me was so juicy. It was just so much pleasure. And, like, in a non-sexual way, like, it just felt so good just to dance and just be goofy.
Yeah.
So like movement has been a big priority for me. It's been really fun. And I also have a pole. I have like an at-home pole that I installed myself. I'm not very good. It's not for my husband. Everyone's like, ooh, you're going to pole dance. It's like, it was for me, right? To like reclaim myself and my body and just to feel good. and like confidence. Little suspect, but yeah, my moves are not the best, but that's been another really fun thing that I've been doing is just, I like got some online pole classes and it's like pole fitness. Like it really is like, it hurts. My body is literally sore and I won't be doing anything that's like, sometimes it'll be sensual, but a lot of the time it's literally just trying to like hold myself on the pole, you know? And like that right there, like my lats, like every part of my body will hurt the next day. But yeah, just like moving my body has been a big priority and it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Dancing.
Fun. Like it should be pleasurable. And it's again what you talk about in the book. And what I'm hearing is getting really clear on what are those things for you in this season of life so that you know what you're aiming for. You know what fills you up. What mothering and loving on yourself looks like. You're giving yourself these needs and being intentional about it. And you talk about productivity versus being intentional. And so how do you feel about the word productivity?
I can't stand it. I literally cannot stand it. Cannot stand it. It like makes me cringe. Every time it's like, I gotta be productive. Like, do you have to be productive? Why? It's like this concept that has been socially conditioned into every single person. We have to be productive in order to have worth and add value into this world. But like innately, you are enough as you are because you are you. You don't have to produce anything or do anything in order to have value, in order to be enough. And so once you stop tying your worth into your output, that was a game changer for me. When I realized that I didn't have to serve others to be productive or to be worthy of a break, that's when my life changed. Like, I don't have to. And when you're doing things out of obligation versus from a place of love, there's a difference in how you do things, right? Because it's the intention behind them. And I'm all about intentionality instead of productivity. So kind of smashing this belief of productivity, that you have to be doing, and switching and shifting to intentionality, where the intention and the thought and the mindfulness behind something matters more than the actual outcome of it, right? Like the simple ability to choose to be intentional with your time versus choosing to be productive with your time is huge. Because in my hour and a half nap time that I get let's be real, it's 2.5 hours. I get quiet time in my house. That's how I shut it down every single day, 12 to 2:30, quiet time. So I have 2.5 hours to do whatever I choose to do. Do I want to be productive during that time? Do I want to be intentional during that time? Take your pick. I'm choosing intentional all day, because in that 2.5 hours, if I'm intentional with it, I can choose something that's in alignment with myself and with my goals, with my vision, versus just doing just to be doing. I don't know. It seems like a no-brainer to me. Maybe I'm so much into it that that's where I'm at. But hopefully if you're not quite there yet, you can still understand this concept of being intentional, why it's way more powerful and potent to be intentional versus being productive. Because you could be productive and do all these things, check all these things off your to-do list and whatever, but your to-do list never ends. Let's be real. You're always going to be adding something to it. But do you want to feel exhausted when you're done with your to-do list, or do you want to feel fulfilled when you're done with your to-do list? And that's the difference between productivity and intentionality.
Oh, so good. Ugh. And I'm thinking about, how do those words feel in your body, right? When you say, I have to be productive, it's this versus I want to be intentional. You almost light up. You feel lighter. And it's this I have to versus I get to.
It's this obligation versus this coming from a place of love.
Yes.
And you got to do all things with love. I learned that the hard way, because resentment kicked in big with me and my husband. Well, I resented him. He didn't really resent me because he didn't. But you got to do stuff through love, or else it becomes obligation. And that obligation turns into resentment. So
true.
Speaking on my experience of moments where I've been super depressed or anxious, and that feeling of just feeling stuck, right? I hear all of the tips. I know in my bones that it's good for me, these different tools, but I feel stuck. And so I'm wondering, where do you send people to go? Like, what is that breakthrough that you recommend? How people reach that breakthrough?
That is a fantastic question, because I've been in that place too. And I know so many women that I work with have been in that place. And really, when you're stuck, you have to ask yourself a couple of questions. Like, you got to ask yourself, like, why am I stuck? And it's probably one of the three reasons, right? You're either stuck in the stagnant in the same place because you don't have a community behind you, right? You don't have the right people surrounding you. Maybe you're missing community, because firsthand, from being a part of a team and just being from a sports point of view and perspective right now, my teammates are my everything. When I was down, when I was like not playing well, they lifted me up and helped me lift myself up too. So you got to ask yourself, am I missing community? Maybe the second reason that you're stuck is because you don't have a game plan, right? You just don't know what to do. I know you mentioned like, okay, I'm stuck. I know what to do. Sometimes you might not know what to do. It's overwhelming to figure out like, where is my starting point in my healing journey? Where's my starting point to unstuck myself? And so maybe you just need to formulate a game plan. The third reason that you're probably stuck is because you don't have accountability. And accountability looks like, I'll go back to the sports analogy that I made with my teammates, right? But accountability now looks like your coaches, other players that came before you that, you know, are where you want to get to. Like when I was in college, I had mentors that were already professional in playing overseas, because I could talk to them. They could share wisdom with me and share with me what worked for them, what didn't work, what mistakes they made, what they wish they would have done differently. And I can just receive that, filter it, and just pick and choose like what and make it work for myself. Same thing with a coach. Like my coach was able to see potential in me and then just able to convert that potential into capacity. She was able to really help me see myself differently. And that's a game changer right there. So maybe you're missing accountability, and that could be an accountability buddy. It could be a mentor. It could be a coach. Like it could be somebody else, because I know those 5 a.m. workouts that I would show up to, you're not going to go by yourself. You will if you're super disciplined. And that's one thing that I have learned through sports. But if you're not that disciplined, you need someone holding you accountable. So someone else is waking up also at the crack of dawn, meeting you at the gym at 5 a.m. You're going to show up. And that's going to help you unstuck yourself. That accountability piece is huge. It like really is. All three of those components are necessary for like a formula for success, right? To move towards action, to get you to where you want to be, to bridge the gap from where you are and where you want to be. You have to have community. You have to have the right people around you. You have to also have the game plan. You have to know what to do, actually have this step-by-step guide showing you the way. And then the third part is accountability, to be able to have someone else there with you holding you accountable. And it's not so much hand-holding, like I said. It's more so like they're going to show you different sides of you that you just can't quite see. You need a different perspective sometimes on things. So that is my biggest advice to someone who is stuck and just can't seem to get unstuck.
Thank you for going through that.
Ask yourself, yeah, you're welcome. Ask yourself, what am I missing? Which one is it?
Mm-hmm. What I'm hearing is get specific and stop trying to do it alone, which is what I need to hear. I think it comes where everyone has to hear that, right? Whether you're feeling stuck or not, it's this badge of honor we wear. If I can do it all by myself, and Andrew and I always talk about, you were not meant to do this alone. It is tough, and it's okay. It's necessary to ask for help.
Yes, and I love this part of your book, Domiana, that is just really powerful. You say, you have the power to choose. You don't have to win the battle of who is more tired. Stop wearing exhausted and self-sacrificing as a badge of honor. It's self-betrayal and self-destructive, and it's actually selfish of you not to take time for yourself because you are robbing others of receiving your best. So beautiful. And I love that you take us from there through this journey with your book. And what's beautiful is you talk about burnout, and then you talk about the gifts that burnout brings, really getting to rock bottom. And so would you please talk about the gifts of burnout?
Yes. And this could definitely be a very, like, you hear it, like burnout's a gift, like, what? But it really is when you're open to perspective. Once you go through this journey, you'll see how much of a gift this truly is, because once you hit the other side of burnout, your life is so much more purpose filled. It is so much better. Like, there's just so much joy and there's opportunity there, right? Burnout, the gift of burnout is opportunity. You have an opportunity to change the trajectory of your life. You have the opportunity to learn a new skill and equip yourself with these tools and these healing tools, right? You have an opportunity to pass this stuff along to your children too. Like, there's just so many opportunities within burnout. It's a self-discovery journey, right? If you haven't embarked on one of those yet, which I'm sure you probably have if you're listening, but you get to dive deeper into this, get to know yourself better. You get better relationships because of burnout when you get to the other side of it. And honestly, if I didn't experience burnout, there's no way that I could be doing what I'm doing right now. It's to the capacity that I'm doing it either. Like, there's no way I would still be stuck in that funk with she wouldn't be a newborn anymore, but I would just be grumpy and unpleasant to be around. And I would not be joyful, and my relationship would be awful. But now that I've experienced that burnout on the other side of it and moved through it, I am more emotionally intelligent and resilient. I am living in my purpose. I've discovered my purposes, and I say purposes because we have many different purposes. We really do. And like I said, I'm going to pass this stuff on to my kids, and it's just such a beautiful, beautiful space that I'm in right now. And I want nothing more than for everybody else to be able to operate from this place. Like, that truly is what I want to be able to give people. And that was my intention behind writing this whole book, behind the coaching work that I do, behind my healing community. Everything that I do is with love, and it's with the intention of helping you see the opportunity in your life, because you're in a really great place right now where you are either able to identify this gap. Maybe you know specifically what the gap is, but maybe you don't, and you just know that there's something has to change. You don't quite know what. Either way, that's a beautiful space to be in. That's a powerful place to be in. Because in that place, when you're really tired of being tired, right? When you're really ready, and I say ready because you're never really ready to do anything. But when you keep talking about the same thing over and over and over again, you get sick of hearing yourself talk about it. That's when you're going to make that lasting, sustainable change. When you're fully burnt out, or like when you're actually burnt out, that's when you're going to be able to make those changes that last and stick. And that's what creates a whole different lifestyle and a whole different life and reality. So maybe you have the gift of burnout. Maybe you haven't quite reached the gift of the burnout yet. Either way, know that it is possible.
So beautiful. And something else that's beautiful, along with so much in your book, is you talk about how once you know things, you can't unknow them. And so I want everyone to take that away from this episode. Domiana has given us so many tools. There are so many more in her book. Again, whether you're a mom, you're not a mom, just being you, these tools apply to you. And now you know them. And the only person that can help you is you. And so know your worth and put them in place.
Yes. Oh, both of you are on fire, and I love it. And I want everybody to get more of you, Domiana, and I'm sure they do too. So if they would like to get your book, find you, how do they get more of you?
So first and foremost, if you want to find me on Instagram, kdomiana. That is my handle. Send me a message. Let me know that you listened to this episode of the podcast. Just say, hey, just listen to the episode. Just share something that really resonated with you. I would love nothing more than that. I swear, like, that would really make me smile. Not that it matters what I feel, shouldn't affect you, but I just would love that so much. If you want to get my books, they're available wherever books are sold. But for my Gold Ivy podcast listeners, a little special for you. So if you want to go to kdomiana.com/book, you can download Help I Need a Break from Motherhood for $8.99 there, or you can go to Amazon and pay $17.95 for it, or go wherever books are sold and pay a different price. But for you guys, I want to give you a special for $8.99. It's available there. And then if you're looking to get in touch and work with me or learn more about my healing community, things like that, you can schedule a healing breakthrough session with me, and you can go to kdomiana.com/schedule, and we can have a 45-minute coaching and healing session. Like, it's going to be run like it's an actual session that I would love to extend to you as an opportunity to identify what you need, right? Creating a game plan, right? Giving you a way to bridge that gap from where you are and get you to where you want to be. So if that's something that you are interested in, I highly, highly, highly recommend you snag one of those spots before they fill up, because I have capacity for only so much, and I am one woman. So if you want one of those, I think you should get that on that ASAP.
Yes, we think so too. And receive these gifts. She's giving you some gifts. It's yours to take.
Life-changing gifts.
Yes.
And we will plug all of your information in our show notes so people have access to you. And then next, what we do are 3 gold stars. So Domiana, these are 3 takeaways for our listeners.
Number 1, figure out what you need and give yourself permission to receive it, right? So is it community? Is it game plan? Is it accountability? Is it a shower? Like, what do you need, and give it to yourself, okay? Number 2, get your body on board. Somatic healing modalities are your friends. Right. And number 3, be intentional. Do everything with love behind it. And I know it's hard to do that in the beginning, and it may feel forced, but doing something with love is way better than doing it out of obligation. Just don't do it at all. But if you feel obligated to do it, just don't do it.
I love those.
So beautiful. And to keep you talking, because we can't get enough of you, we have
I'm here.
Our next segment, Unleashing Ivy. So these are our surprise rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
I am ready, and I do love to talk. So hit me with them.
All right, Domiana, what do you wish you would have known before becoming a mother?
Oh my gosh. I wish I would have known that motherhood was going to crack open this conscious healing journey. I had no idea that it was going to be like this. Literally, if the mother that I envisioned before I became a mother was nothing as to what I am now, which is insane. But I wish I would have known, but also I don't, because then would I have done it still? Probably, but it was like, is it going to be like this hard?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, they're like little teachers walking around teaching you something every day.
I swear they really are. Like, my kids are they're my greatest teachers. And I tell them every single night, like, thank you for being you. Thank you for choosing me to be your mother. And thank you for drawing attention to the places I need healing the most. Like, I tell them this every single night, because it's the truth. Their behavior, the things they do, the things they say, it all is showing me what I need to heal on, and what I have healed also too. So I can celebrate and acknowledge myself and still work and move forward.
Yeah, I'm so glad you said that.
Yes. Man, I bet you're such a fun mom. And that's what my question is for you, is around your joy. You know, reading this book and just following you, you are, like I said, a beam of light. And so I'm just curious about, like, you know, you've given a lot of tips, but how do you personally, like, what gives you the most joy and, like, keeps that optimism flying all the time that I feel from you?
Yes. Don't get it twisted now. This ray of sunshine, did I really say? This ray of sunshine also has rainy and cloudy days too. Like, I definitely am not always a vibrant light. I get grumpy. You can ask my girls, they will be honest and tell you, yeah, she gets grumpy. She yells sometimes. But how do I maintain and like try to be a fun mom? Honestly, I do things that I want to do. Like, yes, I let them choose and we do stuff that they want to do too. But like, ultimately, I make sure that as long as I'm doing stuff that I want to do, I'll be more inclined to doing stuff that they like doing. Like, for example, puzzles. I literally cannot stand on. Not that I can't stand on, but it's just like, oh, we have to do a puzzle, right? And so if my 3-year-old wants to do a puzzle, I'm not gonna do that with joy if I'm depleted, you know. But if I'm making sure I'm doing something that I like doing, yeah, we could do a puzzle. The puzzle's it's no problem, no problem. Let's do the puzzle. And also just like remembering that life does not have to be taken so serious. Like, it's okay to laugh at yourself. It's okay to just be silly. And that's also like where imaginary play has been. If you see my face right now, I'm kind of like scrunching up my nose. I don't like imaginary play. It's hard. But they're expanding and stretching me to like find enjoyment in it. So I guess it's about finding enjoyment in the things that you don't necessarily like or enjoy doing. Is also kind of how you can still be fun. But also, just do what you love to do, even with kids in the mix, and especially with kids in the mix. That is one of my mottos. Why did I say motto like that?
I'm loving this too much.
What is wrong with me? Yeah.
Oh.
But just be weird and goofy. I don't know.
It gives them permission to do it too. It gives them permission to let loose. Like,
and it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And low key, they give me permission to let loose and be goofy and weird. They bring it out of me too.
Mm-hmm.
It's wild.
Man, I would love to just come imaginary play at your house. Then we can cha-cha when they go to bed.
I'll be on the pole.
Do some tapping.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of dancing, I just thought of this too. I just got the girls' tap shoes. Like I said, I danced my whole life till I was 14 or 15. So we got tap shoes. And I remember like vividly from my childhood that my mom, we used to tap dance in her bathroom floor on her tile. We were there tapping it up, like, where? And so I just did some stuff that I enjoyed in my childhood too with my girls, and it was so much fun. So we were tapping our butts off. I'm like, I don't know if it's going to mess up our floor. This is like adulting, right? Like, maybe we shouldn't be tapping on our new tile,
but it's fun.
Yeah, so we're tapping, and I don't know, just little, I put in air quotes, little things, because they're not little, because these are memories, right? We're making memories, experiences.
They'll remember that when they're older.
For sure.
And then
I remembered it, right?
Kids.
Like,
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, all right. Last question. What is your favorite or the most impactful book you've ever read?
The Untethered Soul. That's what I'm going with. That's my final answer. Because there's a couple of them too. There's a couple of birthing books that I love, but The Untethered Soul by Michael Allen Singer.
What did you like about it?
It was a different perspective of your mind and how much power you have over your mind. It's a tie, that book, and also The Body Keeps Score.
Ooh,
I have that on my list.
Yeah, same.
Do it. And that's like the somatic piece that I'm just like, oh, I love it, I love it, I love it. Because it really, those two books together, honestly, is a powerhouse. Because you got the mind and then you got the body, and it's just fantastic.
We'll plug those books in our show notes to our blog. And we just want to thank you, Domiana, for being here today, for your time. It's so valuable with all that you have going on. We wish you a great rest of your pregnancy, and we want just everyone to know that this book is a gift to you. It is. You will never regret reading it. You will never regret the questions that you'll get asked and to reflect on, because it's your life and you have the power to choose what you want that to look like. And so we're just so grateful for you. You have been such a joy. I was laughing, and your insight is beautiful and empowering. And I just feel really grateful that you joined us in our mission to help empower others too.
Thank you. I appreciate the the opportunity also in the space to speak, because your podcast is touching the lives of so many people who need it. Like it really is. And I see the value in what you all are doing, not only in the podcast, but in life and with your careers. And it's inspiring too. So I just want to thank you guys.
I'm crying.
Thank you for saying that. That's
Thank you
sweet.
so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thank you.
Again, hate to let you leave. Love to watch you go.
I know.
Thank you so much, Domiana. And we end every show with a piece of gold. And so would you share your gold with our audience?
So this is a quote by me, and it's one of the mantras that I live by. So are you ready for this? All right, listen up. You were made for this. That is undeniable. Boom. There it is.
This is Gold Ivy signing off.
Listen to your truth and go chase your gold.